What's going on, everyone? Welcome to the Investing Bros live show. Oh, it's a good day. It's a good day. Main topic is going to be Russia. Russia looks like they are adopting cryptocurrency, at least for cross-border payments. But what does the future look like for Russia and your favorite altcoins as well as Bitcoin? Also, there is a coin pumping dramatically right now. I see people talking about it in chat. XRP, while everybody else is falling, they are pumping. Is this because of Russia or is it because of something else? We're going to talk about that and a whole lot more. So do not go anywhere. Smash that like button. And if you are new, please consider hitting subscribe to join the Bros community. But before we get into all of the great content, you guys got to watch the intro. All right. T-Shroom, you're coming at us from another location today. Not so dark, not so ominous. How are you feeling today?
Oh, I'm feeling better than I deserve, Tim. I am coming from a little bit of a different spot. Today I'm coming from the guest bedroom, which is
There we go.
it's a great place to be. It really is. And the guest bedroom gets a bad rap sometimes. But to go ahead and answer your question, Tim, believe it or not, I am better than I deserve. How are you doing?
That's good. That's what I wanted to hear. I'm doing very, very good. I'm watching right now as prices, we talked about in our morning video today. We talked about especially Bitcoin, Solana, and Cardano taking a little bit of a cool off. We also talked about Matic possibly going to the upside. While it's not necessarily going as much as I planned right now, we'll take a look at those coins again. We are seeing all the levels we talked about this morning, though, kind of come to fruition. I do believe that bullishness is going to be coming around the corner here very, very soon. But first, a little bit more of a pullback. That being said, let's go ahead and talk about this early on before we even get into the charts and the news, T-Shirt, because we got a lot to talk about with everybody. I know there's a lot of people I've seen in the comments say, man, I thought you guys were super bullish. Now you're talking about pullbacks. Then you keep flip-flopping back and forth. I want to make this very clear. There's been no flip-flopping here on the Bros channel. There's a thing called long-term price perspective and short-term price perspective. Long-term price predictions that T-Shroom and I have talked about on this channel are staying around. When we talk about where prices will be at the end of 2024, at the end of 2025, we are so bullish you don't even know how bullish we are unless you've been watching, in which case you know exactly how bullish we are. When it comes to short term, guess what? Short term changes all the time. So some days are short term bullish, some days are short term bearish. Today's a little bit of a short term bearish day, but with news like what we're going to break into, while you can be slightly bearish on the shorter time frames, you cannot help but continue to be overwhelmingly excited about the long-term potential for Bitcoin, for crypto. And so I just want to make sure you guys understand there's this thing, you can be both bullish and bearish on different time frames. Very important, actually, that you do that way. That way you actually get to buy the dips rather than missing out on all the great opportunities. With that said, though, T-Shroom, let's go ahead and jump on in. Let's check out what the markets are looking like today. Starting off with our crypto bubbles. You can go ahead and share my screen here. A lot of red. I mean, there are some green projects out there. Bohm is up 7.9%. MOG 4.7%. I think the big ones to keep an eye on, though, Caspa. Caspa at 3.8% up today. What's the current price action? We'll have to take a look at that one. Back up above 19 cents. We've been talking about a big breakout coming for Caspa soon. Are we starting to make that move? Another coin, and you can love it, you can hate it, but it's hard to argue with it. We discussed earlier in July that XRP would be one of the better gains you could have, at least in a shorter term trade. That continues to be the case with Caspa up 5.1% on the day, where you see a sea of red like Jupiter and Athena and Say and Stark and Bonk and others. XRP making the most of the opportunity right now, moving to the upside above 60 cents. And again, I do think that within the next couple of weeks, it's not crazy to suspect that $1 could be back on the table for XRP. I don't think the gains are over. I think they're just beginning, but more on that here just a little bit later. Let's take a look at Bitcoin and kind of talk about why we were a little more bearish at the end of yesterday's show and even into this morning on Bitcoin. We talked about the daily chart, this pink breaker block. This is a bearish breaker block that continues to be resistance here around 68,000, just above it. I told you guys, do not be surprised to see a pullback down closer towards 64,000. Let's take a look on lower time frames, what those levels kind of look like. I will say we're sitting on top of what technically is support at the moment here on the 4-hour chart, where we are at the bottom of the smart trail, but I don't think that that one's necessarily going to hold. I'll explain that here in just a second. Keep an eye on this nice order block right here just south of 64,000 for Bitcoin. Not only is it the take profit level on a short order here on the 4-hour chart, it's also our order block right here. And depending on other timelines you're looking at, let's say 12-hour, you'll see order blocks and smart trails, 8-hour, I think order blocks and smart trails. So overwhelmingly, a lot of these middle price ranges, all kind of implying that 64,000, maybe even a little bit right below, is the opportune level for the next buy spot on Bitcoin. You're also going to see while the oscillators are dropping to lower levels and showing that Bitcoin is getting into the oversold mode, it's not necessarily at these lower levels flashing by. This would imply, I do think we have a little bit lower to go on Bitcoin price before it bounces back to the upside. However, I want to make sure I leave you feeling bullish, because you should be right now. Just a couple of days ago, and I guess say let's go weeks here, because it's now been the beginning of July, but we were just all the way down towards 53,000 earlier on in July. We are still very bullish on the month. Pulling back simply back down to 64,000 is not a bearish move. It is just another pullback while the markets continue to wait for something we predicted a while ago. Odds are we do not see a new all-time high on Bitcoin until late August, possibly early September. That possibly is still in the cards for now. So don't necessarily get too worried if you don't see 75,000 and above until those later dates we're talking about here. So that's kind of what we're looking at here on Bitcoin. Pull back down to 64K. If we go lower, I'm not saying that we necessarily have to bounce to 64,000, even though you do see a lot of support. The daily chart does have support coming in closer to 62. So be mindful of that. If 64 is lost, the next level you will want to look for is 62,000. That could be a strong level of support as well. Either way, if you are looking to add to your Bitcoin bags, even if you just add all of it at 64K, that's going to be a very good buy spot for the long term when we're talking about $200,000 or greater for the king of Bitcoin. More on its news here in just a little bit. Let's take a look at some other charts that are very important here. I told you guys this morning, Solana had some great fantastic news. We'll reference it again, but I'll say it just to kind of spoil it for you. The SEC giving up its witch hunt on several altcoins, no longer deeming them securities. Solana, Cardano, Matic, and several others are going to benefit long-term from this. But in the short term, I told you guys, do not be surprised to see Solana fall at least back down into lower $170 levels and possibly all the way back down into the mid 160s. Ultimately, I actually was just texting with a friend of the channel, Matt C. He's in chat. He asked me, Tim, where's the next buying spot for Solana? I'll tell you this, guys. If you're buying anything between 165 and 175, I think you're getting yourself quite the deal. One of the big reasons why I think that level is going to be hit, maybe 165, is not only the order blocks in play and longer time frame support levels, but also when we turn off Lux Algo, you're going to see those levels kind of be in a spot of a former resistance level being turned back into support once again. So look for Solana before the rallies come in. You might see a little bit more of a discount in play. And sure enough, since this morning's video, it definitely looks like it's going the direction we predicted. Once again, let's go to the 4-hour chart though. Oscillators, are they low? Yes. Are they overextended? Yes. But are we seeing signs of buying pressure? Not necessarily yet. I think we got a little bit lower to go here on Solana, just as we predicted. Same thing with Cardano. We talked about a 38-cent prediction. We're back down below 40 cents, getting very close to the levels we talked about there on 38.5. So if you're a Cardano holder or you want to be a Cardano holder, listen, I know a lot of people don't like Cardano, but they just had a massive weight taken off their chest with no longer being considered a security. That's been a big level of resistance for them. That's something long-term going to be very bullish. But just as we predicted, price is dropping. We'll do a couple other coins later, but I do want to leave the technical analysis spot with one of the hottest coins of the day, and that is XRP. But let's take a look at what's happening here. Don't be surprised to see resistance around 65 cents where we are in a take profit, but also you do see a large level of resistance. This goes all the way back to years ago, this descending level of resistance The high in April 2021, when we were all the way at almost $2, we might have a little bit of a pullback at that level, but take a look at the formation in play at the moment. This is going to be very, very bullish. We're a little bit in a bull pennant of kind. Let me go and look at the 4-hour chart, draw this a little bit better here. Flat top right here, pretty much around 63 cents, but also a rising level of support. This, of course, is attached to a nice flagpole pattern. This could send the price of XRP, let's be a little more conservative here. We could see this catapult the price of XRP up here towards 93 cents. That would be extremely bullish for XRP. After that, though, keep an eye on a potential breakout of this channel to send the price above $1, back towards $1.30. Price levels we have not seen since November of 2021, when several crypto coins were hitting their all-time highs. That is all things that could happen within the next couple of months, possibly even by September. So do you want to hold XRP long-term? I'm not here to tell you yes or no. I'll tell you this. I'm going to, because I think XRP is going to hit new all-time highs. Is it my top holding? No, it is not. But is it one of the greater opportunities for a shorter time frame trade? 100%. XRP has some life coming to it. And just in case we don't get to this in the news section, because we have some other stories we want to focus on, one of the bigger reasons I think XRP is pumping right now and will continue to pump is its years-long battle. It's been almost 4 years to the date since they have been fighting the SEC. I know that people have been saying this for years, but legitimately, I think we are days, if not weeks away from the SEC officially and finally throwing in the white flag. Yes, they've been losing battles to XRP for over a year now, but I do think that the entire lawsuit is close to being over. When that happens, that will open the floodgates for XRP holders, especially the long-term ones, to finally realize some profit. Does that mean we're going to $30 or $420? Absolutely not. Anyone who thinks that, I'm sorry. I just don't think you're going to see that, at least for a very, very long time. But can we hit new all-time highs at this point? Absolutely. And to be fair with you, the news that's happening with Russia, well, I see some people almost implying that XRP is the main coin benefiting from that Russia news. I don't know if I agree with that statement, but I will say that I think XRP will be one of them that benefits. And with that, let's go ahead and segue over into the news with T-Shroom. And let's start off with the biggest one of it all, Russia. Now, what's happening specifically? What does this adoption look like in practicality? After that, though, we will speculate on what the future looks like for the crypto space, specifically in Russia and the rest of the world.
Absolutely. Well, Tim, they've taken a step forward.
Oh, it muted you when you went to that screen, T-Shroom, so I don't think anyone heard anything there.
I appreciate that. Good catch. Russia passes a bill to allow international payments with cryptocurrency. This, of course, will be a boost to the Russian economy, unless some kind of extremely sophisticated measures are taken from those that are sanctioning it. This was a pretty good breakdown here. Russia's new bill permitting international payments with cryptocurrency marks a major shift in its financial strategy. This move could enhance Russia's global trade capabilities and reduce dependency on traditional banking systems amidst ongoing economic sanctions. Of course, Russia, I believe, at least in the top 3 most sanctioned countries by the West, by countries like France, the United States, the UK. They're unable to do trade with those countries and the businesses within them, and that's obviously a huge hindrance to its ability to grow economically and increase the standard of living to its citizens. Crypto can change that. Should crypto change that? That might be something you disagree with, right? But it's happening. At least they've passed a bill, and cryptocurrency is now on the menu. Tim, is this a direct response to what we saw last week in Nashville from Orange Man and from RFK? Is this an international answer to America going orange?
Let's start off with what is factual, what is detailed, and what is for certain. And then we'll move into the speculation, because that's open-ended. It is subjective, and I'm going to let you guys know up front, there's going to be several things I'm going to say in the next couple of minutes that I want you to take with a grain of salt, because they're simply my personal opinions and are not necessarily factual just yet. With that said, I don't think that you guys are going to think the take is too ridiculous. The facts of this case are, the facts of this news is, it's not necessarily Russia saying the government is going to buy crypto. They also didn't necessarily, at least in the sources that we found, specify which cryptocurrencies are going to be the ones that they go after. Putin has in the past discussed Bitcoin specifically. I do think that Bitcoin is going to be a part of this plan. But the biggest thing to understand and take away from the news today is that this only involves the use case of foreign trade. They will not be allowing their citizens to go back and forth. It's still technically going to be illegal for Russian citizens to be trading Bitcoin back and forth, which makes this a little confusing. Ultimately, it's paving the way for their Russian CBDC to take over. This is something that obviously no one of any country wants that to happen to their country. I don't think we want to see it happen anywhere worldwide. It just is going to happen. It is inevitable. With that said, though, while that is the facts, it is just responding to trade, and it's going to allow them to continue to circumvent U.S. sanctions, which I don't believe should have happened in the first place. I know that's probably a hot topic. People have different opinions on it, but there's so many things about money. You do not want money in the position where there's centralized authority to stop people from trading money. No matter how evil somebody is, when you start restricting the freedom that people have in spending money, you compromise the integrity of the entire world, and you start to compromise the ability for innocent people also to benefit from the freedom of currency. So this is going to be one of their ways to potentially circumvent that, but it is only a matter of time before their country does go all in. As our thumbnail suggests, we have seen in months past Putin becoming way more friendly with the talks of Bitcoin and the crypto space, urging the Russian government to come up with regulations so that they can start adopting it faster. In his speech in Nashville, Orange Man discussed the fact that we need to beat China to Bitcoin adoption. Well, guess what? Whether China admits it or not, we definitely see them adopting it. But who is China's largest ally? And in reality, who is somebody that we need to be equally, I don't want to use the word afraid. I think it's the wrong word to use here, but equally respectful of to make sure we beat them to this adoption? It's Russia. The number one ally of China, perceived to be the main enemy of the United States or threat to the United States. A combination of China and Russia adopting Bitcoin and cryptocurrency is a threat to the U.S.'s dominance on the world economics front for sure, but even global superpower when it comes to military. So this is a move that is the beginning steps for Russia, but I think it tells a much larger story. They see the future. They understand the value. Let's not beat around any bush. They want to get rid of the U.S. dollar, T-Shroom. They've made that very clear. Russia, China, India, BRICS nations as a whole have made it extremely clear they do not want to trade in U.S. dollar. They want to see the end of the American dominance in terms of currency, but they have no other solution. It's not like the Russian ruble is doing well. It's not like the Chinese yuan is doing well. There's not a single fiat currency on this planet that is holding up well at all right now. The number one fiat currency, the one that statistically is doing the best, is the U.S. dollar. And we all know that that is a big, fat joke, and its days are numbered. So with that said, if they're going to try to get away from the US dollar, the most dominant and strongest fiat currency on the planet, what is the only solution? It has to be cryptocurrency. So is this the massive step that says that they're going to start stockpiling or creating their own reserve of Bitcoin? No, but it's the baby steps. They're starting off by allowing their country to trade foreign. Next step, they'll allow their citizens to trade. And before you know it, Russia, China, India, and BRICS nations will be in an arms race to get as much Bitcoin supply as possible so that they can steal dominance and power back from the United States. This is why I think, T-Shroom, we have to say this almost daily, but I think we got to stop saying it. Like, ultimately, I think at a certain point, we're just going to have to stop apologizing for discussing politics, because politics right now are the most important things when it comes to the power and the future of cryptocurrency. This right here, what we are reading about and the signs that we're seeing in the future, is why it's so important that whoever the next president of the United States is, whether it's Orange Man or Vice President Unburdened or RFK, I think we all agree that that's probably not a likely scenario. But no matter who the president is, we need that president to have a strong, united front, that America should be number one, that Bitcoin is the future of wealth and financial dominance, and it needs to be, excuse me, I had a bubble in my throat. That needs to be treated like an arms race, that the first to gather the significant amount of Bitcoin is going to be the one that keeps global power. We do not want to see that happening in Russia and China. We want to see that staying in Western countries like the US. I would love to see European countries making the same decision. This has to start now. This is extremely, extremely important and not something you should overlook. Dare I say, and this is the last thing I say, and I want to get your take here, T-Shroom. I think that you guys need to be, we haven't really ever talked about this. I think this is the kind of topics that we need to be writing our senators, our congressmen, any person that you have access to in the political field. You need to make your voice heard that we as America, we as Americans who prioritize freedom, decentralization, and we want to stay the main superpower in the world. This is a very serious issue. We need our elected officials fighting for us, fighting for our freedoms, fighting for Bitcoin to beat Russia, to beat China in this arms race, because it is coming. T-Shroom, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, right now, if you're sitting there thinking, man, I'm glad I bought Bitcoin. All these nation states are about to start fighting over what I own. You're right.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the right takeaway here from an individual standpoint. When we kind of tread into the geopolitical aspects of all this, you can kind of speculate as to how much they'll be fighting over Bitcoin. But in any case, they're not moving to ban it, right? They're not moving to ignore it. They're not running campaigns against it. What they're doing is opening up the regulation and allowing more cryptocurrency to flow. Let's drill into the details here of this Russia story a little more. There's a little bit more juice to squeeze of this lime. Elvira N., the Russian central bank governor, said Tuesday that crypto-based payments would begin taking place before the end of 2024. We are already discussing the terms of the experiment. She says that's a translation, but using the word experiment, with ministries and departments, with businesses, and we expect that the first such payment will take place before the end of the year. So expect those before the end of the year. Now, is that going to shoot the price of Bitcoin up past $150,000? I wouldn't expect that to, but that does start to create fees, create more of an incentive for mining, and just generally a cohesive ecosystem for Bitcoin and Bitcoin mining. So it's good. If you hold Bitcoin, you're in the right place, and you just listen to my hat. Just keep on hodling. And my overall take on this is that it's bullish. It's really bullish, and I'm honestly not surprised. It's something that if you've been listening to Jason Lowry, you shouldn't be all that too surprised, and you should be pretty well educated on it at this point. We do have some other stories, but Tim, was there anything else that stuck out to you on the timing of this?
I don't know about the timing of it. I think, I think that's a good point, though, even though I didn't comment on that. The timing of listening to recent, and we'll talk about all three of them. All three presidential nominees have made very strong Bitcoin comments recently, or crypto comments recently, even though we haven't heard vocally President Unburdened or Vice President Unburdened say anything. We know her camp is talking heavily about cryptocurrency. So yeah, I think that timing is a little coincidental, but I'll close by saying this. Listen, as Tishin points out, yes, if you are holding cryptocurrency right now, if you're a crypto believer, which I would imagine is 97.8% of you watching right now, I'm going to hold out. There's a couple of you watching who aren't necessarily convinced, in which case, thank you for being here. Hopefully we convince you at a certain point. Got a midstream phone call going on. There we go. But my point here that I want to stress to you is, while your portfolio might increase in wealth, I cannot stress to you enough how we do not. If someone's watching right now from China or Russia, this is nothing against you personally. It is against your officials, that whether you elected or not, or whether they kind of got themselves in that position due to corruption. We do not want to see China and Russia become the main superpowers of the world. That is something that I'm not going to pretend or lie to you and say that America is perfect, that we do everything correctly. We absolutely don't. However, we are the least terrible force in the world to keep dominant. We do not want to see Russia or China take that over. And if we want to live under a rock and pretend we can be in a world where everyone shares equal powers, all right, we can wish for it. That's just not the world. It's never going to be that way. There will always be a main moving force. There will always be a dominant government entity. And while there are signs in the U.S. that that's not something good long term, for right now and today and the short term, America still is the best country to be the global superpower. And for now, we want to keep it that way. I would love to see reform in the United States. I would love to see reform worldwide in countries like Russia and China. But as long as their entity, their governing bodies are as controlling and centralized as they are, way more than the United States, they are not the superpowers we want to have over the planet. It's very important for the longevity of Bitcoin and the world that America stays in power.
Absolutely. We welcome their volume, but we don't want their principles. At least I don't. All right, moving along here, we've got some stories that are also bullish. But while we're on the topic of nation states, this was a story we didn't cover, but this happened, I believe, 2 days ago. Hong Kong lawmaker follows Orange Man in proposing strategic Bitcoin reserve. So that would be Hong Kong. They followed the West in passing a Bitcoin spot ETF in a significant financial market. We're seeing some similar tit for tat action here from Hong Kong. That's bullish. Again, if you're holding Bitcoin, you're in the right place. Let's move on into this other bullish story here. This one has a little bit more meat on it. We're going to read the tweet here from Tyler Winklevoss. All of a sudden, the SEC is no longer trying to classify 10 tokens: Solana, ADA, Matic, Filecoin, Atom, Sand, Mana, Algo, AXS, and Cody as securities. They're amending their case against Binance US to remove this allegation so the court won't rule on it. Thank you, Orange Man. So, the headline here is SEC intends to amend complaint against third-party tokens like Solana in Binance case. So, that's the story. I've heard this kind of commented on throughout the day from different commentators, and it looks on the surface just as you might think. This is pretty bullish. Tim, what are your thoughts here? Just how bullish is this?
Extremely bullish, and clearly not short term, because almost every single coin mentioned right there. The only one I didn't check on this afternoon. Let's go take a look real quickly at Matic. Share my screen. It's you know what? You know what's funny? I said this morning, if you guys went and watched the video, I said Matic was the more bullish of all the coins here. I said that there was a chance it could pull back down to 50 cents. That's exactly where it is. As I'm looking at it right now, I think it goes lower. Again, on this 4 hour and 1 hour, I'm not seeing overwhelming buying pressure coming in. So now I'm going to kind of revise and say, hey, all right, Matic could be falling down here to 48.5 cents. With that being said, though, it's clearly, again, not bullish for these coins. You can go off my screen now. There's short-term bearish price action coming, but this is one of those things that you have to think about critically. Even if price isn't responding to it bullishly right now, this is going to be a major bullish factor moving forward. Why is that? Because even though I think the majority of the people invested in crypto right now could care less about what the SEC classifies as a security or not, there are millions of people who in the next 12 months will enter the space. They will enter and invest in cryptocurrencies for the first time in their life. But they might be more prone to only want to invest in coins that are deemed not a risk of being regulated, that are not in trouble of being considered a security. They're going to want the safe choices. So for that reason, they might have looked at the accusations against Solana, Cardano, Matic, Sandbox, several others. I'm not going to name all 68 of them, but they might have looked at those coins and said, you know what? I'm going to hold off. I don't want to own a project that ends up getting slammed with a bunch of fines. But now with this news coming off, they're no longer considered securities. It is no longer a barrier of entry for people to invest in them for the first time. And a lot of these projects we talked about, not Solana. Solana has been in a world of its own, just rallying no matter what happens. But with some of those other ones, like Cardano, like Matic, that the retail has kind of slowly but surely deserted, but the whales and long-term holders have been scooping up the dips. It's only a matter of time before hype comes back in from the price rallying, retail jumps back in, and all of a sudden we go from saying these are dead projects to how did I not buy in at those low levels? That's what the future looks like, and this story is a part of that being the truth for the future of these coins.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep, it's an exciting day. I would not go as far as to say that these coins that we've listed here are not securities. I think that it's not completely insane to interpret this in that way, but I would say that the Ethereum passage of having a spot ETF, that was much more of a sign of these not being securities than what we're seeing here. I think this has a lot more to do with Binance.us in that case. but it also does have implications that at least regulation is moving in a bullish direction for hodlers of these coins. So are they securities or are they not securities? I don't interpret this moment as that. It looks like Tyler Winklevoss does. He says they're no longer trying to classify 10 tokens as securities. But the SEC is not always so clear. So, decide on it however you'd like. I'm bullish either way.
Yeah. I think the last thing I'll say here, same thing as yesterday when there was that rumor that maybe the government was going to be selling $2 billion worth of Bitcoin. I think people have kind of moved past that. We realize that's not what's happening. But let's just pretend that was the case. Let's say in this case, let's say you're not bullish on this story and that Gary Gensler might still try to turn the tides and come back at these coins. That would be a major loss for his. I think we know who Gary Gensler is voting for in November. It's pretty obvious who he's voting for because that's the only person that's going to allow him to keep a job or potentially even give him a raise. Why would he jeopardize her position on newly trying to befriend the crypto space, trying to change the relationship with the crypto space? Why would he attack cryptocurrency and jeopardize her position? I think this is coincidental timing. I do believe this is bullish for these coins because he needed to be bullish for them to hopefully get a couple more votes in the way of Vice President Unburdened. Really quickly, if anyone is just joining the channel and wondering about these colorful names we use, first of all, thank you for being here. Smash the like, hit subscribe. But why are we saying weird names when it comes to presidents? Well, we want to keep our channel highly viewed. We want to continue to grow. Whether you like it or not, there is this thing called censorship. There is this thing called shadow banning. And as election season gets closer, Google, YouTube, they do not want anyone who they perceive as unknowledgeable, which is everyone except for mainstream media, to comment whatsoever on the election season and have any type of election tampering. Their keywords they look for are the president's name who starts with a T and ends with an ump. The other one is the Democratic nominee. So we have colorful names for our political friends, and simply so that we can still discuss it and not trigger any of the bots that might want to shadow ban our channel. I hope you guys understand. If not, we're going to keep saying it because we're going to keep our channel alive and well and viewed. So that is what that is. T-Shroom, before we transition here, I know we have another story that's an interesting one. I'm going to kind of not news. It's just kind of an interesting one to pontificate on. Any other stories on your end?
No. Well, there's one about Facebook we could get into just real quickly. This is on the TradFi space, but it has some interesting implications. Meta agrees to pay $1.4 billion in a settlement here in Texas. Biometric data lawsuit over Facebook images. Essentially, what has happened here is that unbeknownst to Texans, for more than a decade, Meta, Facebook, ran facial recognition software on virtually every face contained in the photographs uploaded to Facebook, capturing records of facial geometry of the people depicted. This and who's bringing this? I believe it's the DA of Texas. The historic settlement demonstrates our commitment to standing up to the world's biggest technology companies and holding them accountable for breaking the law and violating Texas privacy rights. Paxton, again, the DA there of Texas. So does this affect crypto? Probably not. There might be a little bit of liquidity freed up from selling Meta, but ultimately this is just kind of a win for Texans and potentially the beginning of states finding legal pathways to bring multinational corporations a little bit further from being omnipotent, from being as powerful as they possibly can. Again, not a crypto headline, but it's big. 1.4 is a big chunk of change to hand over to the state of Texas. If I'm Mark Zuckerberg, that's not putting a smile on my face today.
Very, very interesting. Good stuff there. Let's go ahead and transition here into kind of a fun story or a guessing story. Go ahead and drop your thoughts on after I drop the question, but we have an interesting prediction from a man that, again, there's respect I have for this man. There's also levels of saying like, all right, he clearly just says things to get attention. But once again, we find ourselves with a news headline about Robert Kiyosaki, the author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Now, he reveals that there are only 3 cryptocurrencies worth buying. I'm going to go ahead and get one out of the way. He talks about it all the time. Bitcoin is going to be his number one choice. What do you in chat think that the other two are going to be? Drop them in right now. One of them, I don't think either one is going to like blow you out of the water, but I was surprised by one of the answers. T. Shroom, because he is one of the top minds in the space. He finished top of his class in economics in college. He guessed them 100% correctly. You guys start dropping your guesses. There's a little bit of delay, so we're going to go ahead and scroll to the answer, but I look forward to seeing what you guys answer. Bitcoin and what else? The pick number one that he said is a coin you should be holding is Ethereum. Ethereum is the first coin he absolutely recommends every single person should hold. Not a shocker. Again, he's a fan of Bitcoin because of its large adoption already. So, of course, why would he not choose Ethereum right behind it? Not as famous for being positive about Ethereum. They're talking about Robert Kiyosaki. But on multiple occasions, he's expressed his support for the world's second biggest cryptocurrency. I don't know if it was him, T-Shroom, but it was someone very similar to him that kind of made the correspondence or the analogy that Bitcoin is like digital gold. And in the past, people have said things like Ethereum's like the silver. No, Ethereum is like digital oil. Oil, of course, a very rich asset that's created wealth all around the world. Bitcoin and Ethereum, gold and oil, I think these are very good comparisons for them. But Ethereum is one I absolutely am in agreement with Robert Kiyosaki. Everyone should hold at least a portion of Bitcoin and Ethereum, not even just the short term. I think these are long-term holds as a whole. That's coin number two. The third coin, and I'm trying to see if I see people saying it. I see a couple predictions. I see someone got it right. There's definitely someone who got it right here. A to Ace, you got it wrong, but you and I were in similar brainwaves. I thought Litecoin might have been one of them as well. I thought maybe he's a fan of the proof of work method, and he's going to stick with the old Litecoin. But the third coin that he recommends every single person hold, and you know what? I agree with him. It's going to be Solana. He didn't come up with the deepest and craziest takes here. He's a little bit less of a degen than even you and me, T-Shroom, and we're not really that much of degens at all. But he's playing it very, very safe because the three coins that he suggested everyone should own right now, if you look at CoinMarketCap, are the top three altcoins if you don't count stablecoins. And I don't know if he's a proponent of holding stablecoins because they're tied to the value of the US dollar, and everyone knows that Robert Kiyosaki is very much a bear on the value of the US dollar. He says, hey guys, you know coins number 1, 2, and number 4, but another way, number 3. Yeah, those are must-hold coins in the crypto world. What are your thoughts here, T-Shroom? You guessed it. Do you agree with him that those are the top 3 people should be holding?
Yeah, I think if you're looking to invest in crypto for the first time, those are 3 names that, it's still crypto, but I would feel the most secure, saying that those are good buys, right? They're not my top 3, but they are the top 3 for a lot of people who are going to do very well in the bull market. Bitcoin and Ethereum are my top 2. I just don't have Solana as my third. T-Shroom, what is your third top holding? You got to join the Discord, and you will find all of that information, including Tim's portfolio as well. You'll find all that out in the Discord. Link below. Yeah,
I'll tell you this. When it comes to Solana, I think, and we were talking about this actually over in, I'm gonna spoil a part of my portfolio, but I'm not gonna give the rest of it out. Solana, I think, is actually, if you were to look at my current portfolio and look at dollar amounts, like in US dollars, which is how I guess we would be grading this anyway, Solana is my top holding. It's not my top investment. I have not taken the most US dollars to put into it, but it's had just such a special run already in this bull market. It's currently my largest holding. I do not believe it will end the bull market that way, not only because I think even if I left every single Solana I currently own in its current state, it will be outpaced by some other coins, but also because I do think I'm a little heavy in Solana. As we get closer to alt season and other alts begin to make special runs, I will look to use Houdini Swap, one of the sponsors here on the channel. I'll be using Houdini Swap to be transferring and moving my portfolio around. I'll tell you this right now. You can go to our Discord right now, and if you're one of our paid members, you can see, as T-Shroom said, my current portfolio, but every single time we update it, you get to see those updates as well. So you want to make sure, if you want to see how T-Shroom and I are moving, you also want to get feedback and lessons on how to invest wisely for yourself and build your own portfolio. These are all things that we do with you when you join our membership options. Check out the link down below for that. When we talk about top 3 holdings, T-Shroom, I don't know if I even think, if you were to tell me, like, for the next 15 years, Bitcoin's definitely making it in there. I don't know if I'm concreting Ethereum and Solana in there. I do think Ethereum should be in the conversation for a 15-year hold. Solana, I really want to see how it adapts over the next 5 years. Even so, whether you're talking about long term or short term, I do think that Chainlink should be in that list of the top 3. I think that Chainlink should be in people's top 3 holdings. I think that we are going to, especially with news like what we're seeing with Russia and other countries moving into the crypto space and wanting to transfer and constantly move things from from fiat currencies into digital currency. Chainlink is going to play a very major role in getting that accomplished along with XRP. But I'm going to make a prediction that actually Chainlink is more heavily utilized than XRP for the use case. I think that's another third one. As far as I go Bitcoin, Chainlink, my third largest holding that I think everyone should have, or the thing when I recommend everyone have, I'm going to go on a little bit of a stretch here because it's one that has not been necessarily too crazy predicted. I'm tempted to say something like Caspa, but I might stick with real world assets and just go with AVAX, T-Shroom. I know that's another one. It's not necessarily doing anything crazy right now, but it's maintaining a top 12 holding. It's got an extremely very bright future. And I do think, especially over the next 5 to 10 years, real world assets, moving everything from the real world into digital currency is going to be a major play. The top 2 coins in that list are AVAX and Chainlink. I think that 2 of them in the top 3 is not a terrible decision. What do you guys think down below? I see Mark Ryan saying Dogecoin. Oh, man. Listen, I am not an enemy of Dogecoin. I hold a little bit of Dogecoin just in case. And I'm speculating that there's continued trolling, but anyone who listened to recent words of Elon Musk has to feel a little bit discouraged about Dogecoin moving forward. Why? Because even though he reiterated that he's always had a soft spot for Dogecoin because he loves memes, he loves jokes, he loves dogs, he kind of poured cold water on any expectation that he's about to make a massive Dogecoin announcement soon. Now, could he be pulling our leg? Could he be trolling? Is this a classic turn your head this way so I can do something else move from Elon Musk? Possibly. But if we're going to take him at his word and take him at face value, what he said recently was not a win for Dogecoin holders. It actually might cause you to think, am I holding too much Doge? T-Shroom, is that how you felt about that announcement?
Yeah, I think so. I did have the thought when I read that, maybe if I should kind of lighten my loafers on Doge, maybe lighten my Doge position. But I don't know that I will. I'm not convinced quite yet. There's also some headlines that we've been seeing about Compound as well, but that are making me question it. But then it makes me think, well, are they just trying? Is it just fun? Are they just trying to get me to sell Compound because they want to buy it lower? I'm not sure. But being in crypto, one lesson you should learn if you're new to crypto is they will try to get you to sell. Right? Being in any investment, once you have to remember, you buy low, you sell high. Buy low, sell high. It sounds simple, but everything in the financial media is trying to get you to forget that. And for whatever reason, get you to either buy high or get you to sell low so that they can buy low and that they can sell high. It's simple. It sounds redundant, but even the most experienced traders and investors sometimes forget that.
We had a good question here from a very interesting way of spelling George. There's 2 H's in there. Never seen the spelling of George with 1 H, let alone 2 of them. So unless his name is Georgki, I'm going to put that likelihood at very slim, T-Shroom. George says, what about AI projects? Strong narrative. AI. We've talked about this on the channel before, but for anyone who's newer, we'll kind of rehash this. And maybe it's good for some of the older listeners to hear it again. AI, I'm going to put into an extremely high risk, but also high reward. But I'm going to emphasize, because that's technically the whole crypto space, I'm going to emphasize risk on AI. I want to urge you guys, I'm not telling you to dump your AI projects, because I do think there still is a good chance we see upward movement. But it's also one of the ones that I think could have the highest disappointment levels, and here is why. While a lot of people are bullish on AI, and of course AI is going to be very good long term, there is speculation from some more inside sources that says a lot of the AI movement to this point has been more based off of hype and fundraising and less on actual delivery of fundamentals of assets. Some of them have not even begun to build their actual AI use cases. They are still in fundraising mode, and now they're starting development, right? What that means is AI could have been in a small bubble. We all know NVIDIA just made crazy runs with no checks whatsoever. We've already seen Near and Render and other AI coins have amazing bull markets so far. Yes, they've had some healthy corrections, and I do think that they can make moves to the upside, which is why I'm going to continue to hold them. I'm not dumping my AI tokens, but I am aware that there is higher risk and there's a possibility that AI is not quite where everyone thinks it is. We're still a couple of years away before it does everything that's been promising. And therefore, I want to preach the word risk. That doesn't mean you don't hold them, but it does mean you reassess. Is there any AI holding? Like, this is how you should be viewing this. If AI as a whole were to go close to or hit zero, is your portfolio okay? I'm talking about Near, I'm talking about Render, I'm talking about ASI, and any other AI token you hold. If it ends up failing, not making the bullish breakouts that a lot of us think it could, are you going to be okay? Technically speaking, you should have that thought process with anything, but I think that AI, more than any other field in crypto, should be asked this question. I don't think that any singular AI project should hold more than 5 to 10% of your total portfolio. 10% even is probably a little much. I would probably stick with that 5%. I don't think a single one should have 5%. And I think altogether, whether you own 3, 4, 5, 6, I don't think that AI should exceed 15% of your portfolio. Why? Because if that whole area of projects were to crash and not follow the bull market of the rest of the crypto space, is your portfolio still going to make major gains and make up for it anyway? I think that is how people should be handling it. That being said, it's your money. If you're very bullish on AI and you know something I don't know, go ahead. Continue to hold a bunch of AI. Make it higher than 15% of your portfolio. And I hope with every bit of my, every fiber in my being that you make a lot of money in this bull market. I would too, because I still hold AI. But I am a little bit more cautious with AI tokens than I am with real world assets or major layer twos or layer ones that have a bright future fundamentally and have built their products. They're just waiting for the adoption to come in. Oh, you're muted, T-shirt. Real quick, while you're unmuting there, let's go ahead and do this. We have about 12-ish minutes left. Let's get our factoid of the day in, and then we're going to finish out with some Q&A. We've been doing Q&A. We've been responding to chat here, but we'll take a look at some coins that you guys have, any other conversation you want to discuss throughout the rest of the show. Let's get our factoid of the day done, and then we'll kind of go into our question answer section.
Yeah, absolutely. There was a story that was brought to my attention by Mike H. He said 45 million California car titles were put on the AVAX blockchain, and that was announced today, and it is true.
Interesting.
On the official AVAX X account, you can see to that effect, and then Reuters actually was the one that took this story. California DMV puts 42 million on blockchain, doesn't name the blockchain in the title. Sorry, AVAX holders. I'm right there with you. I've actually got a decent amount of AVAX. Is it in my top 3 holdings? You'll have to join the Discord to find out. Let's go ahead and jump right on into the factoid of the day. Let's see. Make sure it is all queued up here so we're not giving anything away before we get to it. But today's factoid is brought to you all by Houdini Swap. If you're looking for a great place to swap, private or public, check out Houdini Swap today. Link in the descriptions. Tim, Russia shares land borders with how many countries? 6, 9, 10, or 14? How many land borders are shared with Russia? What do you think?
Oh, dude, I have no idea. A good amount. I know it's going to probably be higher than 6, but then you get into that 9, 10, 14 category, and I absolutely have no idea. So this is going to be a complete guess. I'm going to rock with 10. I'm going to say 10. I can think right now of like 4, and I know there's others that it's almost like I'm picturing the landmass, and I'm actually like, I don't know what that belongs to, but I'm going to go with C10. It's not the highest on here, 14. It's not the lowest. It's a good round number. It was by the way, 10's my favorite number. It was my number for all of my sports I played growing up in high school. So let's go with 10, and hopefully this works out for me.
So close.
There you go. No.
The largest country in the world by area, extending across 11 time zones and sharing land borders with 14 countries. I wonder if this. Let me get out of this. I don't want to click on a link without anybody knowing here. Okay, here are the countries for all of you curious. Is be Norway, Finland, Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, Poland, Belarus, Ukraine, Georgia, Azerbaijan, Kazakhstan, Mongolia, China, North Korea, South Korea, Japan, and the United States. That land. I don't know about the United States land border.
I was not. Yes, it's literally like it's miles away from Alaska. I completely forgot about. Now that wouldn't have changed my vote because that's only one country, and I could have justified that as being 10. That did escape me. That is something I did know. It was close to America. It's literally miles. Like I don't know if you should because it's probably freezing. But if the water wasn't so cold, you probably a person in shape who knows how to swim could probably swim from Alaska to Russia. That's how close they are.
Maybe.
I don't think it touches. I don't know if there's landmass that touches.
Yeah, I think probably it's like a really small island that's like half Russia, half America, or something like that, up in the Alaska Strait.
Zach Martin says the same thing as I. Japan is a stretch. Saying that shares with. I mean, you can make an argument that both Alaska and Japan are stretching it because they don't really touch them. They're just bordering the island.
Hey, take it up with Wikipedia. Okay, it's in the first paragraph of the summary of Russia, just the general Russia Wikipedia page. And when has Wikipedia ever? Maybe what it's
maybe what it's saying is that their international waters touch, and so that makes them border.
That's not what land borders communicates to me.
Oh, okay. Well, I forgot that we said land borders. I thought we were just saying borders.
It's okay. It's okay. Here we are. We're still having fun.
All right. Well, I know now. 14. B-Ball Golf says technically we should say 12. So, again, the elf got it wrong today. It was actually 12. I'm going to take option E.
You need to take it up with Wikipedia because that's a pretty clear print of 14 land-bordered countries. Look,
and we all know there's no possible way that Wikipedia is wrong about things. So,
and this is where we change the subject, Tim.
And this is where we change the subject. Let's talk about some Q&A.
We have a big day tomorrow. We're not going to talk about it because it's almost a sure thing. But tomorrow we do have the FOMC meeting. Tomorrow, and definitely stay tuned. We'll be covering that and how it goes. We'll be going live about an hour after the decision. So,
spoiler alert: it will be 0. They will not raise or cut rates in July. It's September we're looking at. It's September that will be the big month. That being said, part of the reason by Bitcoin is being volatile, crypto being volatile, I would imagine we're going to be volatile all the way through FOMC tomorrow. That being said, anyone who's waiting, withholding their breath that there's going to maybe be a cut tomorrow, not going to happen. They're going to wait on until September. I'll tell you this. If there is a rate cut tomorrow, not only will I buy T-Shrew mistake just for kicks and giggles, crypto's going to pump. I'll make that prediction. If there's a rate cut tomorrow and we surprise and shock everyone in the world, there will be a major pump because that will allow people to feel very, very bullish about crypto moving forward. I know some people think that rate cuts mean crashes. That's a whole nother topic. We'll talk about that maybe tomorrow when we have more time. That being said, it's not going to happen. We're going to get a pause. We're going to see Bitcoin continue just to do borderline nothing but be volatile and sideways. That's my prediction for tomorrow. Yep. With that said, let's go ahead and take a look at what chat is saying. FOMC is tomorrow's today. I see what you did there, username. If rate cuts tomorrow, you buy member stake dinner. All right. If rate cuts tomorrow, you buy all the member stake dinners. Okay. That's a little bit more, I think, that I want to promise. I'll buy everyone a bag of popcorn. I don't know. I'll think about it. I'll think about what I would do for members. We'll do something special for the members if we do see a rate cut tomorrow. If we get a cut tomorrow? Yeah. I'll give everyone one Cardano.
Peyton Steele asked about Ondo. He said, hey, guys. Again, a good opportunity to say, hey, bros. Hey, bros, any thoughts on Ondo? And how much of a percent of it should be in your portfolio? Off the rip, I think Ondo could potentially be as high as a 5% allocation of your portfolio. Much higher than that, I think you might be getting a little silly, unless you know something I don't know. but much lower than that, and you're just a little too conservative on Ondo, perhaps. Tim, what are you seeing on the charts for it?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a little bit more boring here, continuing to kind of struggle. It'll pop up above $1 and then drop back down below. As a whole, it's a bullish formation we're playing right now. And I saw someone actually in the VIP trading group ask this question. If you reject on a descending level of a channel, do you have to hit the support level? The answer is no. If we did hit support, we would probably see a price level of around 72 cents for Ondo. I don't believe that's going to happen. I do think that we might be able to fall back down here to 91. Let's take a look at what our indicators are saying. We did have that bearish breaker block. Oh, it's in play at the moment. Okay. Yeah, coming right down here, we got support back down at 92, 91 cents, right where we just were back on the 25th during that lull right before the conference started last week. As a whole, though, it's just got to wait for the attention to come back. Ondo is going to have a great run. Here's what people need to know about Ondo. If Ondo didn't have semi-poor tokenomics, this might mimic my portfolio holding for Chainlink. I think that the market cap on Ondo is going to go nuts. That being said, they're going to be printing more than double the current circulating supply of Ondo early next year. Like we're talking about January, February of 2025. Some people are causing that to make them not want to hold Ondo whatsoever. I still think on 15 to 20x in the cards from current prices, but it would have been closer to like a 30 to 50x if we didn't have such poor tokenomics. But we are going to see a massive adoption. This is one of the coins that BlackRock has hand selected as being part of their plan for real world asset adoption. Remember earlier I said I'm going to stick with in my top 3 Bitcoin, but then I'm going to go Chainlink and AVAX, 2 of the top coins in the real world asset space. There's a good argument that Ondo, by the time it's all said and done, will be coin number 3. Who knows? Maybe even threatening AVAX in terms of market cap. But those tokenomics do make it not as advantageous as a hold long-term as others, but still worth it in my book with that 15 to 20x still in the card. So bullish on Ondo. When that breakout happens, it's going to get very exciting. Last thing I'll say here, and this is going to apply to all altcoins. We can still look at other coins here, maybe one more because we have 2 minutes left. But anyone holding altcoins right now and asking, why isn't everything pumping? Yeah, XRP is doing a little something. It's got some great news. Yeah, Solana's doing a little something. It's the darling of the bull market so far. But the rest of your altcoins, why aren't they pumping? Because it's not time for them to pump. Retail is leaving them. Retail follows the hottest, sexiest coin. Whatever's getting the pumps and the big moves, that's where retail goes. It's not altcoin season. What's going to happen between now and December is whales, smart money, and institutions will take advantage of the low volume, take advantage of the lack of attention. They will buy all of these strong assets. They will start to get the price moving slowly but surely, but they'll keep your attention on something else that's more exciting, like a meme coin, like I think Bitcoin and Ethereum will do some great things. And then by the time these alts that you're asking the question about right now, by the time you come back and look at them, and see that they're up 300, 400%, and then you go into them, the majority of the gains will be over. This is the play every single bull market. People ignore altcoins and then come back when things get exciting. The best way or time to invest in a project is if you believe in its long-term fundamentals, if you believe it has a place in the future, buy when no one else wants to even talk about it. Those are the greatest opportunities. For coins like Ondo, I think that classifies now is the right time to be buying.
Yeah, and I've got it. I like Ondo. Let's see. Yeah.
One more question.
A couple more questions here. Here's one. What is an ETF? From Frog Farmer V3. An ETF is an exchange-traded fund. It's a financial instrument in which you can get exposure to the price movement of a lot of different things. Such as a basket of the S&P 500. There are ETFs for just the S&P 500 to where you don't have to go out and buy every single stock within the S&P 500. You can just buy an ETF that gets you an equal weight of what the S&P 500 is. Okay, you could get a timber ETF. You can get a ETF that helps you get it price exposure to the price of wood in I don't know if it's of the world or the United States. You can get an ETF of the entire Japanese stock market. And you can also get an ETF now, as of 2024, July 10th, or July 11th, January 10th, and as of, what was it, July 18th for Ethereum spot, that, banks such as BlackRock or Van Eck are going out and buying Ethereum and Bitcoin so that you can, all you have to do is go to the stock market and buy the ETF, which for many is easier than opening up a Coinbase wallet, and you can get price exposure to Bitcoin. Is it the best way to hold Bitcoin? That's controversial. I don't necessarily think it is, but it is a way to buy Bitcoin and Ethereum now. So it's good. It's good when an asset gets an ETF, and because then why is it good? Because it gives the banks an incentive for that commodity, for that underlying good, to be traded in greater volume. And
absolutely,
and it also is a symbol of the passage of the underlying asset into the regulated world. It's regulated and it's deemed to be good.
Mm-hmm. In a nutshell, I'll wrap that up and we're going to close out the show. Is it bullish for the price of the asset? Absolutely. But if you're watching the Investing Bros, if you're watching Crypto YouTube, you will know ETFs are not the way to go. Self-custody your crypto, buy it yourself off an exchange, move it into a cold wallet like Arculus, use exchanges like CoinW or Houdini or others, and get into a cold wallet so that you own your own cryptocurrency. You are your own bank. That is how you will build your future wealth. With that said, that's all we have for you guys today. Congratulations on your nap, stupid thing. Glad to see you in here again, being more active than anyone else. I love it. The rest of you, I love you guys as well. We'll be back tomorrow morning, same time, same place. With that said, adios.
Trying to make paper. Turn that better to cake. Money like Lego. Connect the dots that bank. We are investing bros. We are investing bros. Army pipe, lethal on trade. Entries and exits, worthy of praise. Tim, the professor, the TA. Shouted out loud on the PA. T-Shrooms news, got the word. Doing better than what he deserves. Beamer, leave no evidence. Soon fly coop with his dividend. Trying to make paper. Turn that better to cake. Money like Lego. Connect the dots that bank. We are investing bros. We are investing bros.